Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Talking Locs podcast with Locitude, and I am your host, Ade Balogun. Today, we are introducing a new series called Everyday People with Locs. And for our very first episode, we will be discussing Locs and the corporate world. This episode is produced by Xavage Media. Our guest today is Chinedum, a friend, a long-time customer of Locitude, and of course, a fellow lockhead. Without further ado, let's get right into it, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. Hi, Chinedum. Welcome to the first episode of our new series on the Loc podcast. And this series is going to be titled Everyday People with Locs. And today we're going to be discussing Locs and the corporate world. Chinedum, do you mind telling us, maybe your full name, a little bit about yourself, and why you think you could shed some light on Locs and the corporate world?
Okay, hi Ade. Thank you very much for having me on this show. My name is Chinedum Ucheoma, and we're talking about the corporate world. And I work as a sales manager for a software company. And I think I've been having my Locs for about right now about 4.5 years. So I'll basically say I've been on it for some reasonable period of time, and I've actually used it to work across two different organizations. I think is there anything you want me to talk about? My introduction, is this okay?
Yeah, this is fine. So you've actually had Locs and you've worked with two different organizations having Locs as a man. Is that right?
Yes. In one of the organizations, that was where I actually started out with the Locs. So the whole process of getting it started. Then by the time I was on my current place of work now, the Locs was already fully developed and keep growing.
Okay, that's interesting. And let me first start by asking, why did you even decide to lock your hair in the first place, especially when it's frowned at for men?
So I think that's one very interesting question that each time people ask it. They actually get surprised with my answer. Why did I lock my hair in the first place? I didn't actually have any reason per se. So basically, my hair is usually curled naturally. And I just kept on growing my hair. I've always had very full hair, kept on growing the hair. And the way it was rolling when it curled and tangled, I loved the feeling. And before I knew it, the hair started matching together, and I just loved the feeling. And I thought, okay, this has become actually a proper free-forming Locs. So let's enjoy it since the Locs is here. And that was it. And the next thing was I actually had to get to a loctician, which was Locitude. And basically said, okay, since I'm trying to keep this Locs, let's basically give it a pattern. And that was it. So there was actually no preconception of saying, oh, I think I want to go on Locs because of this. It was basically just enjoying the experiment with my hair and what it turned out to be, and that was it.
Okay, and at that time, how did your place of work perceive you? Because you do work in sales, I believe, and that means that you are not like maybe stuck behind a computer like a software engineer where nobody sees you. So when you showed up in the office with like locked hair, did your employers have anything to say about that?
So, like I said, it was a process. So, yeah, they knew my hair was always full. Then the next thing, they were noticing the pattern of the hair was changing. And I could remember my director then saying, hey, what is it with your hair? What's happening with your hair? I was like, hey, that's why I love it. I want you to be that way. And some of my colleagues, it was just funny. Some people would just come and look at the hair, what's happening here? Then I think one of my directors then was showing that, hey, you need to cut your hair. But what happened was we had one of the senior vice presidents that came in from South Africa then, and we're having a meeting. He saw me. Wow, I love your hair. You didn't tell me you're growing your hair now. We've gotten you a very nice hair gel, the one I use. I'm like, oh, and he went back to his hotel and he gave me his container that had some left in it. And that was actually how my director in the office didn't say anything about it again, and that was how that hair started growing. Then when it came to going for meetings, because when it was free-forming, it was very much everywhere. So for meetings, it was always weird because you get into an office, get to a reception, and you say, I'm looking for Mr. So and so. And most times, my meetings were always with either the CFO, the chief financial officers, or the head of IT, or the head of HR, who are basically senior people or the CEOs. And you tell the receptionist that you're looking for this person, and they'll look at you first. Okay, this guy is suited up and has this funny hair and wants to see this big boss. What exactly is happening? Then you went to the boardroom, and the person comes in there to meet you, and the person looks at you, and the person is actually totally surprised. Chinedum, you say yes. The person shakes you, and the person is trying to place that thought of, okay, the person I've been talking to on the phone or via email, and the person I'm seeing. And before you knew it, I think some people just got used to it. I think there was one very interesting occasion I had where I went to this company and he was their CEO. And after the whole process, they finally got the solution I was selling. After the whole process, the guy called in the HR and told the HR, please, I don't want you to be so rigid on our staff again.
Woohoo!
The guy was an easy guy. He was an easy guy, but the HR was a very, very strict person and was always saying, okay, staff has to wear, the HR was from a bank, you have to wear this color of shirts, you have to wear this tie and all that. He told them, okay, like, it was so surprising. And everyone was looking at me like, how will this guy be the person that will make this thing change? He told them clearly, Fridays, I had a meeting with him on the Friday, one of the meetings on the Friday, and I had my jeans and t-shirt. Okay, Fridays officially we'll be dressing down.
Oh wow!
People wasn't wear their t-shirts. Allow people to express themselves the way they wanted to express themselves. And it was later the guy now said that usually for him, he was one of those people that always had this bias about the way people dress or appear, but he actually changed throughout the process of the whole almost a 1 month process of going through the discussions and sales before we bought it, and I think that was actually one very interesting thing that happened.
Oh,
But,
that's actually very, very impressive that you not only decided to wear your own hair the way you want to, but you're also making a reasonable impact in how other people are beginning to see the corporate world and how we choose to wear our hair. This is actually very, very interesting. Just you did say that at least you left one company to another company. In the process of trying to find this job or getting this job, do you think that your hair was going to be a setback? Were you intentionally trying to change jobs, or were you poached and maybe was it just easy and there was nothing to talk about? Or would you have considered cutting your hair if you were trying to find a new job?
Okay, another very interesting question. So when I changed jobs, it was two things. I was searching for a job, and somehow I applied to this place, and they finally it changed the whole way. It started as if it was like a headhunting at the same time. But I think one thing I was doing was because I knew I was somehow working within. It was a corporate work, but within a technology setting, and I also had that. So I had that in the back of my mind that I would have a little bit of leverage if I was going to look for a job within a technology setting than any other setting per se.
Okay.
And people won't be that rigid in or with what you need to or how you need to appear, whatever it is. But again, my LinkedIn profile has me fully with my Locs showing. So most of the jobs that I applied for them through LinkedIn. I had some interviews I did, and some of the video interviews, physical interviews, people will still comment their hair, but I clearly knew that it had nothing to do with the hair because from the time I applied for this role, you look at my LinkedIn profile, you already know I had
The hair.
I had Locs or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really anything for me. I know that if it comes to most people that might be working within the core financial sector, not fintech, core financial sector, or maybe medical professionals within Nigeria, that might be
A challenge.
a very, very huge challenge for them because there's this culture and norm within the environment and how males need to appear within the corporate setting.
Yeah.
So I think this wasn't so hard for me somehow.
Okay, but it's also still very interesting because, like you said, you are talking to chief financial officers of organizations. Those are like really serious people and representing your own company. So I really found that you would be an interesting person to understand what your journey has been like so far. But have you ever been in any situation where you felt that your hair was a deterrent? Maybe did you go for any meetings and you feel like you didn't get through to a CFO just because of how you appeared with your hair?
No, I think that has never happened. And why it never happened was because there's always going to be a process. So what is it? Either you're the one cold calling a particular company or the particular persona within the company, or they reached out to you first and you start conversing via email, via telephone before you even have a physical meeting. So when you're talking with these people on the phone or via email, in their minds, they think they are talking to a normal person. Let me use the word normal person with a normal hair. A normal person with a normal hair. So when they get to see you, it's basically a case of it's going to be a disappointment to them because for them it's okay. I thought I was talking with someone, a normal male that had a nice look of hair, but here I am with this guy with a head full of locks. But again, nothing has actually changed because from the conversation, there was nothing dumb with what he was saying. He was answering my questions. He was providing the solution the way I wanted it. So he never changed anything. What don't you just find out is some of them would end up telling you, "Wow, if this was if I was talking to you the first time, I would have that bias on how to talk to you." I've had cases where I've had a case where I was to speak. We were having a function then, like a roadshow, having a function then, and I was supposed to speak with in one of the sessions to take some of the or one of the HR solutions. And when I came out to speak, I saw the look on people's faces until I started speaking. And by then we finished and we went for lunch. And one of the ladies came and said, "Wow, I never knew that people that had looks were this smart." I'm like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" She started laughing. She said, "No, that seriously, that she doesn't. Maybe that's the kind of people she has met, but that's it. We'll just laugh about it and move on." So as mentioned, it's a case of because for me it was how I met these people before, or how we started. I started conversing with them before we actually did meet physically. So that basically was easier for it to happen.
Okay, so from what I hear you say, it was or it has been easier getting through to most of your customers because they have some pre meeting with you in an
Or engagement with me.
engagement in a more virtual setting, probably by email or phone call. So by the time they're getting to see you, it's too late to judge you by your looks. Okay, so maybe that's
Now,
a
yes, that's one. But I'll say something quickly because there's also something else I got to realize, and this might be a little bit outside of work or other personal engagements. So, most times when people are on Locs, there's a kind of image that they portray most persons. Now, for me, it was that case of okay, I knew I had Locs. I knew that I was in a society that was biased with men that had Locs, so it was very easy for someone to say, ask you, "Are you a musician? Are you a footballer? Are you an artist?" It was very common. Nobody would ask you anything except those three questions. It was very possible. Are you an entertainer? Whatever. It was that. So one thing I tended to do was aside on weekends. If you see on weekends, you might not really know exactly what I do. But every weekday, what I did was just make sure you wear your nice chinos pants and your shirt and tuck it in with your nice shoes with my glasses on. So that alone, when people see you, when I meet someone randomly, whatever it is, they're confused. I think that's the word. They're confused because I'm sure there was something else they were expecting. There was a kind of image they're expecting someone that has looks to look like. So they get confused first, and most of them don't know exactly where to fit me into until maybe we'll start talking or I start engaging them. So I think that's also something that actually pretty works nicely. So
I think you're right.
So that whole image portrayal of yourself.
You're absolutely right because when I started my own locks, and I know that even though now I'm a loctician and I'm free to do whatever I want to do and appear however I want to appear, as a matter of fact, people don't expect me to appear otherwise without my locks. I think it would be a big shock for people who know me if they saw me without my locks. But when I did start my locks, I practiced as an architect in an architectural firm with actual clients who were spending millions, hundreds of millions building their houses. So I felt like I had the there was some pressure to appear like I was more serious than my locks made me look. So I used to make some efforts to
Yeah.
make sure I wore earrings that were a bit more obvious, put some makeup
Yeah.
on so that you don't look a certain way. But do you think that those
Yeah.
of us that choose to keep our hair locks need this extra pressure? Do you think there will ever be a time in society where we will just be accepted for showing up with our hair for what it is?
Unfortunately, the world is very biased, and even most times, even with all the extra pressure or any extra pressure trying to appear in a certain way, some people still don't accept that you are the person you think you are. So I think the pressure will be there, depending on where you're going to find yourself. So it's a case of understand where you're going to be or what you're going to do and know how you need to present yourself. So if I was going to have, like as I mentioned, when I was going to have meetings with this people for the first time, I make sure as much as possible to have a jacket. So I'm always trying to have a jacket in my car. Have a jacket. The reason is no matter how you dress, wear your nice pants and your shirts, whether you have a tie or not, once you have a jacket on, it gives you a little booster, it puts the image high again. So those things are the things that basically makes even the person you're going to meet not to look down on you. It's, as I mentioned, it's a biased society. So someone that is not cool with that in any way will not be cool with it. The person will first be biased before they even start engaging with you. So that pressure will remain there as long as we are doing whatever it is we're doing within the society we live in.
Yeah, it's been interesting, and I'm really happy we're having this conversation because sometimes, as a loctician, I have nothing to think about but just hair and how we perceive ourselves. And I personally think that some of the ways we see ourselves as Africans and how we treat our hair is leftover misconceptions from colonialism. Because you just said you have to put on a jacket, and thinking about being in Nigeria, there's no reason why you should even have a jacket anytime on in the entire year. But that's the one thing. Yes, exactly. But that's the one thing that you kind of add to your outfit to make you look like a serious person, and that's because somewhere in the Western world, that is what somebody needs to wear to protect themselves from cold. So the irony is glaring, and I'm hoping that this conversation and people who get to listen to this kind of stop and think about it and realize that first, you don't even need a jacket, and it's okay to have your hair. And you can still be a serious person. And so I'm going to talk about because yes, I'm female, so I have it a little bit easier than you do. But I also find that sometimes when I'm in a crowd of people and they are looking for certain substances that are usually frowned at, like marijuana, somebody will look at me and go like, "Oh, do you know where they sell weed?" And I'm like, "Why am I supposed to know that?" So do you find exactly? And I'm like, "Why do you think of everybody sitting down here, I'm the one who you should meet?" Do you find that you have similar experiences, like maybe in the workplace as well?
It is a common stuff. It's just normal. Someone will just root out from anywhere and say, hey, "What's up? I have a friend coming in. I will need with peace. Can you help me arrange with?" I look at the person. I said, "I don't even smoke weed. Why telling me to arrange for it?" Or you get in somewhere. You're going to let's use Lagos for example. You're going to any of the beaches. Immediately you're coming in there. Somebody will just rush it straight to you first and start telling you, hey, what's up? I have this, and you're just wondering like, what the heck? You go somewhere, someone will just call you Rasta. I was trying to say, I have locks, but I'm not a Rasta. If you understand what Rasta, their ideologies and how they live, I'm not a Rasta. So those things happen. People basically see you first and assume, okay, because you have this hair, there is something associated with this kind of people. Somebody has actually told me before, why am I eating meat? You need to be a vegetarian because I have locks.
That's a new one. I haven't gotten that one yet.
Oh, you got that now because so this what I asked is like, why were you saying so? He said because he has two cousins that are proper Rastafarians. I said, yeah, they actually wait. I said they are Rastafarians. Most of them actually want to be full vegetarians, but I'm just wearing locks. I don't have anything to do with the religion or whatever it is. So it's actually very, very normal for me to go somewhere and even people will ask you, do you know where I can get weed in an illegal place? Like in an illegal place. Because they just believe you have locks. Hey, come on.
So you have the connect.
Or you have weed or you have to connect to something.
Yeah, so I think both of us agree that that is a misconception. Whilst, yes, some
Yes,
people who have locks do smoke weed, but it is not a stereotype. Not everybody knows where to get the
exactly,
weed. So please stop asking
exactly.
us where to get weed. Find your weed wherever. Okay, so I'm going to take this a little bit personal, and yes, I know we're talking about locks, and the corporate world. But how did your parents feel about you deciding to, when they started seeing you with this hairstyle? Were they like scared or like, is our son trying to lose his job? What's happening to his ambition? How did they
Uh,
take it?
okay, it was actually super interesting. It was my dad, and he didn't understand. First time when I said my hair was just great, first time, hey, as a gentleman, you need to have your hair nicely cut. Then I'll start to say, Eddie, but I can see your pictures. You had your afro and open your shirt. He said that was then. Right now, you need to have your hair cut. I said, I leave it. So it kept on going that way up until when the Locs itself got on fully. And whenever I traveled with my dad, anytime any of my family friends see, I say, Daddy, what are you doing with your head? My dad said, just ask him. Ask him. So one of the periods, I think my dad was around. I think he visited. I can't remember, he came to do all the together. And I think the morning before the day he left, he just said, it's because of this your hair. And this was, I think this was 2017 or 18. This was even before the locks actually formed fully. It was just when it was just growing out. And said, there is no one in the Ucheoma's family that has that as a Rasta. And I don't know why he decided to have one. And I told him, and I know it was a very hard thing for us to say that. I told him, then if I'm the first person, there's nothing wrong with that. He said, no, but I asked him, is it because of me or is it because what you think people will say that your son has locks? He didn't say anything. And I asked him, you not even asked me if I'm being paid my salary because of these locks.
Mm.
And he didn't say anything. So I think right now he knows the locks is there. And I'm not in him, but I think sometimes he also, I'm sure that sometimes he might wish, oh, I just wish my son doesn't have these locks on. But at the same time, I also know that he clearly realizes that he doesn't change me from being the person I've been and being his son and respecting him and doing everything I need to do as a son. So it's more or less like a sweet and bitter pill to swallow at the same time. I've not had any conversation about the locks with him again after that period. He knows the locks is there. He doesn't say anything about it again. He just leaves it there. It's just what it is.
Mm.
And I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised maybe the day I decide to cut it. My father is excited that he cut it. But for now, it's no longer. It's only when we're together and someone says something. He says he wants to have his hair. He will just say he wants to have his hair. So it's no longer an issue for him because it's just there. As I mentioned, I think most times what I've realized is most of our parents within Nigeria, it's there's that first
Worry.
I say every time. I say it's actually a selfish worry. It's what it is. Most people don't want to acknowledge that it's a selfish worry of what will people say about my child being this way. It's not actually about why is my child being this way. I'm not sure that they're organized within, if we use Nigeria for an example, most of the artists and the musicians that are top rated, when they told their parents they wanted to start off with music, there were very, very few parents that supported them.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them were rebels until their parents realized, okay, this was actually the path their kids wanted to do, and they finally started encouraging them, and that was it. So I think it's not the same thing. So nobody wants to be associated with their son having locks because most people that have had locks, there's that preconception that this person is a criminal or is a good for nothing or smokes weed or does this or does that. So they just don't want to be associated with such biases. But I think it's just what it is.
Yeah. The interesting thing on my own part, the very first time it occurred to me to even lock my hair because I was more intentional about my own locks, unlike you were. My mom literally told me that, why do you want to do something a crazy person does? And that deterred me for a few years before I eventually started. And when I started, she didn't discourage me, but she did not encourage me. But I'm so happy that now she's had her own locks for about 6 years now. So in the end, she got to realize
So
that
you converted her.
yes, it's actually one of the most convenient things you can do to your hair. Um, okay, so I'm still talking a little bit personally to your hair and to your person. Do you ever feel like in meeting somebody how your locks would be perceived by a potential spouse's family if you're asked to cut your hair before you got married to their daughter? Is that something you would accept?
Um, okay, I'll give you a very simple example. I had one time when I was having this talk, and my uncle said he was so angry that period. And we were just talking, we were just in one conversation. He now said, I will never let someone that has your kind of hair marry any of my daughters. We were joking and having drinks, and I laughed. I told him, Uncle, if I love your daughter so much, and I realize that this will be a deal breaker, I will cut the hair, marry her, and grow it back.
Mm.
And my uncle is very dark, but he literally loved red.
Whoa.
I'm not sure he ever thought that. I told him, I will cut it, get married to myself, there will be peace, and I will grow it back. And you're not coming to take your daughter from me because she's my wife.
Mm.
So that's a side. But again, I think one thing I've also realized is it's about the two persons.
Mm-hmm.
If your potential spouse or your wife to be or your whoever, your girlfriend, can nicely defend you and stand for you in front of our own family, I think your troubles are easier to manage. It becomes crazier when the person cannot actually stand firm and say, okay, I like this person this way. The hair has nothing to do with this person. The person is a nice person. We can meet the person and forget about this bias. It becomes easier. But yeah, when it comes to that, I've had someone tell me somewhere in the past that, because I'm keeping a hair, that I shouldn't talk to her again. We weren't even having anything that was romantic. Like she wouldn't want us to. She wouldn't want to talk to her that has locks because she had a particular idea about guys that have locks. So that was that. But again, I think an interesting thing is that it even looks like most of the locks is good and attractant to most of the women.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is actually very weird. Someone will say, I meet you, is this your real hair? You say yes. Can I touch it?
So it's a
You
conversation
say, yes,
starter.
Yeah, so all that. But yeah, I think that's what it is.
Okay, so it can be both ways. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. And if that family really doesn't want to accept you, we just cut it and start it again later. Yeah, I hear you.
You just cut it. Like my own hair is nicely grown now. You just cut it, keep it, do the wedding, marry your daughter, grow your hair back again, so people are for a fix that.
Right. So
and everyone will not eat their guts.
okay, we have talked about locks and your workplace. We've gone a little bit personal into how parents and potential spouses, family can perceive your hair. And being a man with locks, I think it would be this conversation will not be complete, even though we are speaking particularly towards the workplace, without talking about your dealings with law enforcement, having locks and being a man. So do you think that there's even any impact, or is it imagined that men with locks are targeted in the context of even Nigeria?
So I think when the NSARS thing happened, and before that, people always ask you, so how do you deal with this? So the first thing is this: I have never had a bad experience with any law enforcement person. It's weird whenever I say it. Now, I think maybe I was lucky, or just what it is. Now, what happens is this: so what I found is most of the law enforcement who do harass, maybe find a guy with locks just walking down the street to go and get something, and their van will just block the person, and they will just drag the person into their own van or whatever, or they rent a place. Now, for me, it's actually been different because most times, so I'm driving, and you're driving, and you get to a checkpoint, and you stop. They wind down. So whenever they see you with a hair full of locks, so the first thing they will ask you is, "Hey, who are you?" I learned a very nice trick. For the police officers or whoever, SARS, Don't speak pidgin English to them. Speak English to them. When they ask me, who are you? I'll say my name is Chinedum. I will bring out my complimentary card and give them. They will look at it. Can I see your particulars? I give them my particulars. They look at it. Whose car is this? I said, I gave you my card and you look at your particulars. Is it not my name? Then I think the whole thing is about how you get to talk with them. And by the time they ask, fine, some of them will go to the next thing, okay, they want to search your car because, again, they think you have weed or you have gun or something, and they will come out and start filling every part of your car to search both the boots and under the seats and everything to figure out what they didn't keep there. And that has been it. So for me, as I mentioned, I've either been, I think maybe I'll say I've been lucky that I've not had any scuffle with them, as the case may be. Maybe because of the way I get to talk to them or whatever it is, but I've not had those situations. But I've also heard about very, very terrible stories about guys on Locs and how they come after them and things like that. Maybe if I was way younger and maybe didn't get to have a car and like the normal other young guys, maybe see somebody that's just a simple young guy, maybe 22, 23, 24, less than 25, a student or something on Locs, it's very easy for them to harass such people. The policeman is going to harass me. First of all, why are you harassing me? Because I could actually get to talk for myself and you're not wondering and you have something meaningful that you're doing. So it's actually very, very different from most of the people that actually get to harass. So yes, that has been my own case.
Yeah, I'm very happy to hear that you have not had a personal bad experience, but we do know that even besides people with Locs, a lot of young men and few women have been harassed by law enforcement just because of having their head this way. And I'm hoping that this conversation around Locs and the corporate world can help somebody out there realize that, yes, it is possible to have Locs and be responsible and have a job and work in an industry where you're not even expected to have Locs. So, I do hope that this conversation is of some benefit to someone out there. We've spoken for quite a bit of time now, almost 25 minutes or thereabouts. And the conversation has been so interesting. I think you've shed some light on your personal experience having Locs, and so far so good. I have enjoyed the conversation because it's not like we pre-planned our answers or I had coached you on what to say. So I'm happy that we've had an honest and refreshing conversation. And and I'm also happy that you have a lot of.
I think it's super interesting how you're just going freely, just hitting me the questions from everywhere, and I'm just answering them freely. Just the way it is.
I'm sorry you feel like I'm hitting you with the questions. We're just having a conversation. Okay, so I have maybe just a couple of questions left for you. In terms of maintaining your hair and your style, do you think you have any benefits from having locked hair, than any other style that you would currently have? Is it more of a budding or is it something you rather have?
So for men, hate it or love it, it's a budding for men. and it's actually quite simple. For a guy, when I was on Locitude, basically you want to have a bath, just get into the shower and just turn on the shower, just let the water run from your head down to your toes and you're fine. You just move on. You go to the barber shop, you do whatever you need to do. Now with the Locs, you don't get to wash your hair every day. And so most I find yourself, because you want to also make it very clean and hygienic, and you find that you're washing it every 2 weeks, sometimes every 3 weeks, if you stretch it every month, and if it's long, you need to wash it, you will definitely have to have a band to wrap it up, to wash it. And sometimes people will come to my house and get to my bathroom. Which babe left the shower cap there? Says my shower cap. because there are times you don't want to get out of the shower for the shower to run. So you can't tie it up again. You need to use the shower cap to do that. So there are times I'll style it. When I style it, and for the first 2 days, you'll be looking for the best position to actually keep your head when you want to sleep. Then there's the way you style it. I love to do the bun. I think for a long time I've not done the bun again. You do the bun and you get in the car and you find out that the ball is actually hitting the headrest, so you need to recline the seat some more
Okay.
to have the space. so for guys, because it's so weird, it's not one of the things guys, when it comes to hair, a guy just really wants to wash his hair, have a bath, get to the salon and have a haircut. So it's very different. Then again, when I go to the barber shop, I need to, even though it's the person that cuts my hair every now and then, I need to be careful to tell him, dude, okay, I've not retwisted my hair, but please, you don't need to cut off that hair there because it's going to be used to be retwisted. So leave that part alone. So you need to keep on directing the person, unless it's someone that does locks down, they say, okay, he doesn't need to touch that. So for a guy, it's work. For most women will tell you it's pretty easy for them because they basically wash, oil, and style, or just pack it just the way they want to go. But for guys, it's an extra piece of work. Okay. I didn't even talk about the heat on your neck. Ooh. Or the sweating on your neck when it's over your head and all that.
Okay, so why do you still choose to have it though? Why do you still like it so much?
I still like it, and I think basically I've grown into it. I've grown into it. I've found all the therapy I need. Whether I need to wash it, I need to wash my hair with the shampoo and the conditioner. I finally found one particular mix that has shampoo and conditioner together, so it's easy to wash it once. Okay. I need to oil the hair. I basically found a container that has a very long tip with a tiny hole that I'll basically push into the scalp and just press it and I oil the hair. So somehow I've found a very easy way to
manage
walk through the therapy and manage the hair. So it's become what it is.
Right. Oh, that's actually very interesting. I didn't see that coming. And yeah. I said a couple of questions. Maybe I'll just make it 3. I'll make 2 more. A couple more questions to go. I do know that you have been fortunate with work and your career, and your hair hasn't really affected you negatively. But you did say that there's always, that 1 or 2 times where somebody comes and has something negative to say. How do you cope with these negative perceptions?
So sometimes people say it, you just leave it alone to go flat, because the more you try to talk about it or argue it, you can't change someone's mind in just those few minutes to make them believe that what their perception is true or false. Then in some other cases, if I need to talk more about it, I'll talk more about it. But it's just a case of, okay, what you think doesn't define me, and I can just basically go on without even responding to what you said. So you basically say, oh, let's say for example, someone says, I think people that have locks are irresponsible or are this or that. I say, really? They say yes. I say, why do you think so? The person can't actually say anything again. I just forget about it and move on. Because if you probe further, you find that what they think is basically what they assume and how they've grown in with the society about those particular assumptions. So if you want to push it further down, most of the times I've tried to push it further down, I find that they couldn't actually have any constructive arguments to support their mindset. So I've just let it go that way. It's just the same way someone coming to say, oh, I think all Igbo people like money. So when you say I think all Igbo people like money, I ask you, why did you say that? The guy will tell you, there's one boy in my class that did this. Any other person, so why are you using one boy in your class to support one little stuff you heard before that all people like money? Like, how? So you find that when you go deeper trying to understand that more, you can't actually get any substance out of it. But again, as I mentioned, it's basically what people think in their minds, and it's so hard to get to change them. If you want to change them in that moment, because they don't want to change their mind. They have their own notion and ideology, and you're just basically they're going to argue with someone that's not even interested in having a change from what you're saying. So I just let it be.
Right.
But do the negative comments come? Yes, they do happen. Do you need to grow a tough skin about it sometimes? Yes, sometimes you need to grow a very tough crocodile skin and let them just bounce off. And you move on, because if you choose to dwell on them, there's so many ugly things people say to people every day. So how many of them do you want to manage? Just
keep it moving.
Tell yourself, okay, keep it moving. What this person said is not what it is. I know who I am. I know what I can do, and just keep going.
Right. Okay, so my very last but not the least question is, what advice do you have for young people, people our age, people older out there who may be thinking, male or female, doesn't matter, who may be thinking, hey, my hair is not suitable for the corporate world? What advice do you have for them? Or locking their hair is not
So,
suitable for the corporate world?
looking ahead. So I think the first thing I'll say is okay. I'll say okay. I'll just roll back a little bit. So some people actually accidentally go into the kind of field where they operate as part of the corporate world. Some people are conscious what they want to get into. Now, the first thing I'll say is, if you know that the sector you are planning to play will have an issue with the kind of hairstyle or the personal image you want to portray. Um, this is for everyone living in Nigeria. Please, there's no point to go and start something you cannot finish. That's the simple truth. And if you know that, hey, you can actually navigate through this stuff, it's not a biggie for you. You move on. So, I'll use an example. If your path or your thoughts or your career intentions are to be a banker, and you're trying to go and have locks as a guy, you will fail from the very start, because some banks don't even like guys keeping beards, talk less of locks. So that's going to be a very tricky stuff for you to do. Now, if you're going to be working within FMCGs, technology, financial technology, everything that has to do with technology, maybe even pharmaceutical sales, you're not going to do the core medical, be in the hospital, or yes, you can actually decide to play around with that, and you could easily go scot-free. Then if you're lucky going to be outside Nigeria, you don't have anything to worry, because you can nicely sail through it, because it's your hairstyle, nobody's going to trouble you about it. Unless when you're working with, okay, you need to be in a particular way, of which people that even have long hair, some places will allow you to have any kind of hair, but they need you to pack it in such a way you don't leave it hanging. So once you pack it nicely, you're fine. So as I mentioned, the first thing is be sure which sector you're going to play in, and also be very sure that what you're trying to do will be totally acceptable, and you could make that happen. There's an example I use. There's a popular bank in Nigeria, and one of their head of that ED, executive director for brands and marketing, actually has a dyed hair. Look, he's a lady, and her whole team. She told the MD of the bank, my whole team is a creative team, so you have to let them be the way they want to be. So her whole team dresses totally different from the way typical bankers dress.
Right.
And it's very simple because she is good, she knows what she can control, and everywhere she moves with her team. So when she left where she was before to get into the bank, she will have like about 4 people that she needs to move with to get in there. So because she knows that she's, well, in quotes, a scarce commodity, she can control such a thing. So if I have locks and a bank needs to hire me to do whatever it is for them, and I tell them this is who I am, and I know that they can't get somebody else that can do this, hey, you can control this. But when you're mostly starting off in a career, or you're in middle management or entry level, it's going to be tough if your sector doesn't accept such a thing. So first of all, just be sure that when you're going to play allows this to work, and before you try to do it. If they don't allow it to work, as long as we're still within the shores of Nigeria, please just enjoy your look of it, please, to avoid trouble.
So basically, you should be careful. You should understand the industry you're trying to play in, and you should do what is best for you at this time. And while you try and do that, people like Chinedum and I will still continue, trying to push our story and push our agenda to get to the point that hopefully in the future our children or children's children will be free to wear their hair however they want and be able to get the jobs that they want without the fear of being stereotyped. So
yes, 100%.
Yeah, so Chinedu, thank you so much. I know I have taken a bit of your time. I'm going to let you get back to your party, and I'm sure that we would be in touch. But thanks so much, and I do hope that this season 2 and the Everyday People with Locs series is going to be fun. And thanks for helping kick it off. I've had fun, and I hope our listeners will also enjoy it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ade, for having me. It's been a pleasure from the time you started nursing my locks to now.
My pleasure too. Okay, then. I think we'll wrap it up.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Talking Locs podcast with Locitude. It has been such a pleasure being your host, and my name is again Ade Balogun. And thanks to our producer, Xavage Media. Please don't forget to follow us on social media. We are at Locitude, LOCITUDE, and you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Also, for more interesting podcast episodes on Everyday People with Locs, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We are currently on Google, Stitcher, Apple, and Spotify podcast. Our next episode is going to be interesting, and we'll be exploring locks in relation to health. Hope to see you again soon, and have a good one.